So now we get into opposing, basically what we could call opposing breaths, but I'll just frame it as yin and yang breathing. So we have the smooth breath, and then we'll have a yin and a yang breath. And now what this does is it starts to add, and it also starts to link our techniques. So now we're going to start to link breath with our cognition. And we already have internal and external, right? That's default. This is warrior training. At warrior training, you already have internal and external attention either elongated or maintained throughout the day. And if you don't, that's okay. This is just information that you can use for later. But that's where warrior training will really start to pick up, is because maintaining the breath is like, whoa, this is really tricky. Like internal, external, that wasn't easy, but I got there. But boy, paying attention to the breath is hard. That's why warrior training comes in, because we need a new frame of mind, one that is a little bit more get shit done. Like this is the way we gotta do this. So the yin and yang breath is still smooth. Don't forget that. All of the breaths, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will all be smooth. So that's a key point, that those will all be smooth breaths. Now, yang breath, any questions so far before I explain these two types of breathing? Is it still smooth? Yes. As smooth as you can make it. It's not always going to feel like this takes practice. So sometimes it'll be like, that doesn't feel very smooth, but that's okay. Just keep working with it. It gets better over time. Just like any skill, any practice, we improve. Easy peasy. Well, throughout our day, we may face a variety of different situations. And so this is situational breathing with a smooth breath that combines the cognition direction and a word that we don't use a lot until later in warrior training or other types of training, which is intention. Because intention is just a feeling. Right, Santina? It's all just a feeling. That's all we're ever talking about. If we put words to things, what are we doing? We're describing something that we have felt, something that we have experienced. I can only talk about this cup because I've experienced it. I can only talk about this camera on my desk because I've experienced it. I can only talk about an emotion because I've experienced it. If you're talking about something I've never experienced, I'm going to look at you like, okay, I guess I got to take your word for it because I don't know what you're talking about. That happens a lot on Facebook. I'll see some stuff and I'm like, okay, like maybe, but I don't know how that's supposed to, like, where does that shit fit in? I don't think it does. Okay, so yang breath. And we don't, I guess we don't have to talk about it in using the pinyin term yin and yang. We can, because there are no real English translations for that other than contextual opposites, but that's not yin yang theory, but that's also a different topic. So basically, yang breath is energy up. I'll write that in the chat. Yang breath is energy up. And that makes sense. Yang energy rises. Yang energy is get shit done, warming, sun, think sun. Yin is energy down. Think winter. Think things are coming inside the house now. Think the moon, or think the sun has set and the moon is coming up. I know it's not always like that, but you know, just kind of imagining it that way. So what's a reason during your day you would need energy up? Or am I just making that? Or is this just a bunch of fluff for you? Do you think that there are times during your day where you could use energy to rise? Things to increase, things to warm, things to move a little faster? Sure, yeah, I think so. You know, I'm at work, I have 2 people trying to check out, I have a thing of laundry that is coming out, I have a phone call because someone has a question that I don't have an immediate answer for. I got 15 things going at once, plus 4 directions of attention. And I'm like, Well, actually, in that case, I might need to slow energy down. I think I just gave you an opposite example, but yeah, there will be examples. Okay, energy up the stairs, right? I got to go up and down those damn stairs. If I bring energy down, I'm probably going to make the task feel more difficult. So I need to get that energy moving. I need to get that energy moving so I have the chi and the ATP necessary to carry out that physical task. How we breathe affects our ATP, our chemical energy. How we breathe affects our cerebral spinal fluid. That's actually how it moves. Our breath is the pump for the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system doesn't have a mechanism that pushes it through other than gravity and breathing. So there's a lot of aspects that breath has on our body that's a little bit more subtle that we may not be totally aware of that will begin to regulate when we do this practice. But that's more for the theory part of the practice. And theory, I use that word scientifically. I mean studies, data, that kind of stuff. Principles are a little, they could be a little bit more esoteric, but the moment of your practice allows so much ease to multitask. It does. Yeah. And then you'll notice that we're not really multitasking. We're just quickly shifting our attention back and forth while holding other things in limbo, which makes it even easier to work with once you're really feeling you're not actually doing multiple. That's the 4 directions. If you have 3 different things or 4 different things in one direction, you can kiss your other 3 directions goodbye. So that's why it's so important to be aware in the way that we are with this practice. So now we're going to use a little imagination as well, right? So imagination with breath. How do you imagine it? I don't know. I imagine it like light. I like to imagine it. It's really a feeling now because the imagination portion of it was so long ago that I did it. Now it's, as Santina pointed out, it's just feeling. I don't need as much, you know, and the imagination is superimposed, such as imagining light and energy and chi moving in your body in a particular way. I would imagine chi moving up the cervical vertebra, because that's where I would feel a lot of tension. I could feel that that's where my plug up spot was for my energy to circulate, right? So I would just smoothly breathe. I wouldn't try to change because that's manipulation. And then I would smoothly breathe and then go do something else so that I don't overly focus on one body area because that will make it more tense. So using the imagination, what do you think energy up would be like if we had to use our imagination with our breath? Probably up. Like the direction would probably, the energy we would, yeah, but expanding is a good one. Yeah, expanding is up and out in all directions. I can dig it. I think expanding would be a good one. We will get more technical with this because we can also start to do very specific things. I'm giving more of a broad overview of these different types of breath. But you can do what's called the micro or macrocosmic orbit, where first you imagine the energy kind of moving up your back and then down over the front on the exhale. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Well, when you get good at that, you can just move it quicker. You can move that circle quicker. And then that is a yang breath. Still smooth, but we're breathing with imagination. We're breathing with intention. What is the intention? To increase the yang energy of our body, like of our bubble of perception. We're hoping to increase the yang energy for whatever reason. I'm assuming that you have a reason to do that. And then what is yin? Same thing. It's just going the opposite direction. And for an opposite reason, right? Maybe you're wanting to wind down. Maybe there are too many things moving at once and it's starting to get really hectic. Root. That's what we mean by root. Breathe down. I have what's called kidney yin deficiency. All of my breathing is down into kidney 1 and kidney 3 in my feet. And that's actually taking this practice and making it medical, which, Of course, I haven't been a year before I can start talking about it that way. All my colleagues say it's possible and improbable that a patient would be able to pay attention to their body to the extent to activate channels and acupuncture points. That everybody I talk to says it's possible. And everybody I talk to says you will not be able to get your patients to do it. They won't do it. They don't have the focus. They don't have the concentration. We'll see. I do agree that most of them won't. But there's going to be an Ida that comes into my office and they're going to be like, Ernest, I'm in. Let's do this. Let's change this. I don't feel like I want to feel. My life isn't going how I want it to go. I'm obviously in your clinic, so there's a physical health issue occurring. And so some people will just be like, I'm in it. Show me what I need to do. I'm going to do what you say. And then there's some people that will be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then they never come back and they never do it. So I know that both spectrums are going to exist. My job is to make it available. I'm not trying to help people. I'm just making it available so that people can help themselves.